Hello, hello, hello. How are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we're going to do this. It's a box. It is. I just thought, with the holidays coming, 9 months from now, okay, 8 months from now, if you have, a need for a small gift, this is a good idea, and completely created by you. So you have a little box, and inside you have some note cards and some envelopes. And you just have little cute little note cards. You could use these just for your desk or whatever. And here's the best part. This is a flat fold box. So you can make a bunch of these and put them away and then get them out when you need them. So we're going to talk about how to do this. We're going to do the note cards. The envelopes you can pick up at Michael's or Hobby Lobby pretty readily. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this. I'll be back in just a minute with the supply list, and we'll get to building. I'll be right back. For this one, you're going to need adhesive. I recommend liquid adhesive and not tape. A corner rounder, you're going to need scoring tools, a scoreboard, paper trimmer, a pair of scissors, cardstock for your box, 65-pound, 100-pound, it doesn't matter, cardstock. You're going to want some paper for decorating. This is a great 6x6 project. And then you're going to want some cardstock to make your note spaces for the inside of your cards. It's probably going to take about 2.5 pieces of cardstock to do the whole thing, so just be aware of that. All right, okay, should we just dive into this one? Let's just dive into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our base first. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. There we go. Our base is 9.5 by 7.5, so 7.5 here. Save that 1-inch strip because that is what you're going to use for your envelopes later. And then 9.5 right there. So that's what you need. You need a piece of 7.5 by 9.5. We'll cut the cards later. I just want to get the base done right now, okay? Then we're going to do some scoring. And on the short side, on your 7.5-inch side, you are going to score this at 1, 2, 5.5, and then at 6.5. If you have a scoreboard like this where you have to turn it around, it's at 1. Turn it around and hit it at 1, okay? And then we're going to go this way. And our first score on the long side is at 1/2 inch. And then at 1.5. At 5. And at 6. That's it, okay? I'm going to get rid of the scoreboard. When I come back, we're going to do some folding and all that good stuff. And do some trimming. I'll be right back. So, where you decide that you have facing up when you're scoring, those are valleys because they go down. On the other side is hills because they come up. So on the hillside, we're going to fold to the hillside. Okay. We're just going to fold all of these. All right. Now we're going to cut off some pieces. So with our little thin part on the left, let me grab a white pen so that you all can see what we're doing. Okay, this should be white. Let's try it. Not white. Let me see. I'll find a white one. There we go. All right. So we're going to take off that and this and this and this. Okay? We're going to take off that and that, and then this and this and this and this one and this one, and that's it. Okay? We're going to leave the rest of these on. So, basically we're going to take away the 2 small squares on each side. Those like rectangular squares. And then I would give that a little wedge, right? So wedging that little flap and then taking off those 2 rectangles. All right. On the next one, we're going to cut all the way down to the second score line. And we're going to get rid of the first box. Okay? We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to cut all the way down to the second score line on both sides of those squares. But we're only going to get rid of the first box. Okay? Same thing on the other side. All the way down to the second score line. Get rid of that first box. Here, same thing, all the way down. All the way down. Get rid of the first box. And that leaves us with these. And we're just going to take those off. Now, if you have a plunging paper trimmer and you want to do it with that, that's perfectly fine. I just fold it, see if you fold them back. It works pretty good. All right, so now we are going to be doing just a little bit of kind of mitering here. So we're just going to, these little 4 little flaps, we're just going to kind of give it a little bit of a wedge. Just a little wedge. Oop, I got a little bit sticking up here. I'm going to get rid of it. Whew, okay, get rid of that wedge. Okay, same thing here. Little wedge, a little wedge. All this does is helps everything close up a little bit better. A little wedge here, here a wedge, there a wedge, everywhere a wedge, wedge. Just on these 4 ones here. I don't like that at all. Let me cut that down. There we go. And this one. All right. So now what we have is the thin flap, a 1-inch flap, the larger box, a 1-inch, and a larger box. Then you have 4 sections here, 2 here, and 2 here, okay? I don't like that line at all. Let me get rid of that. Alrighty. Alright, so now we're going to round some corners. We're going to be rounding these outside corners. Alright? You could do this with a small corner rounder, a large corner rounder, it doesn't matter, whatever you have. Just put it on there and give it a round. Now this is to make it easier to insert, okay, the flaps into the box. That's it. When I come back, we're going to talk about putting the decorations on and finger pulls and all that other stuff, and then we'll cut the cards. I'll be right back. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be covering the front panel of the box. You can cover the whole box, half a box, doesn't matter. But I'm going to cover the front panel of the box. And this is 3.5 by 3.5, so we're going to go 3.25 by 3.25. Yep, 3.25 by 3.25. So I'm just going to pick a piece of paper that I want to put on the front. Yep, we're going with this one. So I'm just going to cut this at 3.25 by 3.25. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink my edge here. And you can use any kind of ink you want. If you want to use a base color or something, you can do that. Or you could just use, you know, like a black or a dark color. Now, I do notice that there's a lot of gold leafing here, and there's really nothing here. So I'm going to probably do a little bit of gold leafing here. So let me grab my gold. And of course, you don't have to do this. But this is foil cardstock, you know, it's got foil on it. So I want to make sure it's got a little bit kind of everywhere. So I have some gold. And I'm just going to cut a little piece of this. Doesn't have to be very large. And I like to use glue stick for this. So I'm going to put a little bit down here. All I'm going to do is put that on there and just rub it with my finger and then just pull it off. And it just adds a little bit. Okay. See? Now it matches. It has a little gold foil everywhere. Okay. So now this piece is actually going to go on here. Kind of like that. So what I want to do is I want to bring that all the way up to the top, because I'm going to put a finger notch in here. You do not have to do this if you don't want to, but I'm going to put a finger notch in. So I'm going to bring that up to the top. And then I'm going to take my punch, put a little finger notch in, re-ink that, and then I'm going to glue this down on the front. Okay. Now, if I want to round the corners, I can do that as well. So let's just do that real quick. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And it's just an aesthetics thing. So I'm going to glue this on. Now, you can use tape on this part if you want. I'm using glue because that's the adhesive I currently have at hand. And then I'm just going to put this on, giving myself 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And then I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to fold in that one little skinny flap, and I'm going to put glue on the top of that. There we go. A little bit of glue right there. And then I'm just going to fold over the other side all the way, and it will meet up perfectly. Okay, so now I have my flat fold box. I'm going to clean up this mess, and when I come back, we're going to do the cards. I'll be right back. All right, so now we're going to cut some cards. You can fit like 6 cards and the envelopes in this. So our cards are 3 inches tall. So we're going to cut, I have 2 sheets of cardstock here, so I'm cutting 2 at a time. 4. And this one will be 6. And our final cards are 3 by 3. So I know my sheet of paper was 8.5, so I'm going to take 2.5 off. Keeping all of those scraps. They're fantastic sizes. And then I'm going to be scoring these. Okay? If you don't have a scoreboard, that's okay. Just use a ruler and, you know, your grid board. Okay? So I'm just going to take these and put them in my scoreboard. I'm just going to score them at 3 inches because that's the middle. And then I'm going to fold and burnish all of these. And then I'm going to round all of my corners just because I like that look. It's a little bit more finished and I think it looks nicer in the box as far as the presentation. So we'll do one real quick. Remember, that's the valley. We're going to turn it into a hill. Everything lined up. And then burnish. And then we're going to go ahead and round corners. Use medium round. No, I like the bigger one. Round a corner, round a corner, round a corner, round a corner. Okay? So go do all of these, and then when you come back, we will cut the inside pieces and assemble these. All right? I'll be right back. All right, so we're going to cut the inside pieces. And the cards are 3 inches, so 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So I'm just going to cut a couple of strips here that are 2 3/4. Probably won't need 3, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Ooh, I did need 3. Whew. Yeah, exactly 3. That gives me 9. I only have 6 cards, but, you know, I'm doing a couple of these at the same time. And then I'm going to round all my corners. And once these are all rounded, then I'll ink them before I put them in if I want to. You don't have to ink them. You could just leave them just white. If you really want them to be close to the edge, go at 2 7/8, which is going to be just one little line. It's between 2 3/4 and 3, okay? It's a very small piece. And then we're going to cut our covers at, you know, our card tops the same. Now, here's the thing. If you want to, you could do string art on these or small paintings, whatever it is you want to do. It's entirely up to you. So 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 for our cover pieces. Alright, so now we have all of our pieces. We're going to round the corners on these, and when I come back, we're going to assemble the whole thing. Alright, I'll be right back. So, in the interest of doing this quickly, I am going to use tape, and because there's no stress on these, we're just going to get these on. And I'm just giving myself 1/8 of an inch on all sides. And the trick to this is if you line up this side and this side, the other two sides follow. Easiest done with a square. Now, as I said, this is a very quick project. It doesn't take a lot. As far as supplies, you could probably get a 6x6 pad and do like a couple of sets of these and have, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 full sets. And then, you know, you could give them with maybe a little candy. The Ghirardellis would fit in there nice. You know, the flats, those would fit in there nice. And you could put them in. Just kind of, you know, as a little gift to give to friends at, you know, at work or something. Or maybe send them to a kid's teacher. Entirely up to you. All right, so we have 6 cards. And we're going to put the insides in. I didn't really ink these so much as I just kind of went around. But again, I'm just going to open it up and do the same thing. I'm just going to give myself a nice even border and place in the sentiment area. The little note area. All right, see now, that one took 4. We're just going to get these all in, and then when I come back, we're going to get the envelopes out, and we're going to put the whole thing together, okay? I'll be right back. All right, so these envelopes do come in different colors. You can get them in craft. As a matter of fact, I think you can get them in all different colors. The most common ones are white and craft, but if you want all the colored ones, go to the Hobby Lobby, because I know they have a bunch of colors there. So we're going to get 6 envelopes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're just going to make sure that these fit. These are like 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, so that they take a 3 by 3 card. They do fit. And now, what I like to do is I like to take the envelopes and I like to put the band on them. And don't try to score this, okay? Just don't. Because it's never going to work. Get that on there, nice and straight. Just like that. I'm going to cut the tail. I just want like a 1-inch overlap. A little adhesive there. Close that up. Now you could put a nice little, you know, sticker or something on there, maybe do an embossing or something. We're going to bring back in our box, and we're going to fold it both ways. And then we're going to put our bottom flaps in, and we're going to tuck in this bottom piece. Now you may need to do a little adjusting here on the edges to get that to go in, like right in here, but for the most part, it should go in pretty easy. Then I'm going to set up my cards, making sure they're all going in the same direction. My envelopes, I'm going to put them in, and as you can see, there's plenty of room in there to put a little piece of candy or something. I'm going to close this up. You could even put in more cards if you wanted to. You could make like, I don't know, I think 10 might fit. And then I'm going to close that up. Now to decorate this, I could just tie some string around it or use some ephemera pieces, and I could dress it up really cute and make it look really, really adorable. But that's it. That's my little project for today. It's just a quick, simple, flat fold box. Let me give you the dimensions on this box because somebody's gonna ask. So this box is 3.5 inches wide. It is 3.5 inches tall, and it is 1 inch deep. So 3.5 inches tall, 3.5 inches wide, 1 inch deep. That is our dimensions for today. Okay? Our envelopes, our cards, everything's all tucked in there nice. that's it, guys. So until I see you again, don't forget to check out my community tab here on YouTube and over in my Facebook group, both of which have a nice list, tell you everything that's going on in my digital world. And you can go by my Ko-Fi or stop by my Patreon. Until I see you again, stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.